I didn't get to choose. They must have chosen for us. Okay, hello everyone. We're here. We're live. Very excited to be with you this evening. My name is actually. Let's just give everyone a moment. I know we have a few people who are just tuning in, so we're just going to be giving everyone a minute to connect. This is the Alpha Impact fireside chat. We have a beautiful, totally not artificial fireplace here. It's fantastic. So we're very happy to have you with us this evening. Let's, you know what? Let me just adjust this quickly for a second.
Are you going to wear your suit?
No, I'm not gonna. I just wanted to do that. So I'll give you this. You got your water down here. Okay. I think we could probably get started.
Do we see how many people have connected?
No, oh, there's a few. So welcome to those that have joined. Very happy to have you with us. My name is Hayden Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Alpha Impact. This is part of our nine webinar series, the Alpha Impact Academy. And our goal is to try to help people understand cryptocurrencies a little bit more holistically. So we have two things. Number one, we really have three different streams. So we have beginner session, intermediate sessions, and of course we have advanced sessions. So last week we had a really interesting conversation talking with Charles, who's a basis trader with a fantastic finance background. Tonight we're actually going to be having a more of a beginner session. So the idea for us here this evening is that Paula is hello Frostech, lovely to see you. Paula is not a crypto expert. She's a non-crypto expert, finance expert, engineering expert, but not a crypto expert. So the idea for us here this evening is we're going to be talking about the basics. This is for beginners. So if you're already a hardcore advanced crypto person, this might be a little bit not high level enough for you. But if you are a beginner, you're in for a great time. So Paula, I don't want to do your introduction for you. You have your own podcast. You're super successful. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Hayden. Thanks for inviting me today.
To sit by the fire.
Yes, this is my first actual literal fireside chat. So amazing setup here for the Alpha Impact team. Congrats. Yeah, like you said, I host a podcast. The name is A Day With Podcast, and we invite people from different industries to come and talk about what they do in their jobs. We have people from the retail, from people from Google, finance, everything. And so one episode was about digital assets and crypto with you. We call it like 101 intro to crypto. And actually, it was one of our best episodes. So
I gotta. Is it the most?
I'm gonna say one of the best ones.
Okay, we'll just say it's the best one.
Yeah. But so once, thanks. To start, thanks for coming on the podcast. But also, it gave us a real insight of how people are looking into the industry. I think a lot of young people, which is the audience of the podcast, are really interested in crypto and Bitcoin. And even if we've been talking about it for so long, people have so many questions too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're doing this beginner type of webinar. I myself can introduce as a beginner, so this is exactly for me. Thanks for inviting me.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming. So we want to, again, the format for this evening, Paula is going to be asking me some questions. Last week was a little bit interactive because we both had a lot of stuff to share. Paula is, as I mentioned, not a crypto expert. So her goal here is to represent the people who are watching us tonight who don't have a crypto background to help figure this industry out. So we've got some questions here. The questions are in front of us. We're going to be occasionally looking down. We're not texting our moms, don't worry. So we want to give everyone the chance to learn a little bit more about what crypto is and how it all works. I want to give a quick plug. We are going to be having one of these events next week, and later in the show, we'll have an announcement about the type of speaker we're going to be having on. So Paula, I'd like to turn it over to you. I know you're dying to ask some of these questions.
Yeah,
over to you.
My first question, and obviously we'll go through what crypto is and etc. We've repeated so many times, but I guess a lot of people that are new to this market and this space are new because there's so much information out there. Now, in my real job, other than the podcast, I work in finance. I get to speak with institutional investors, private wealth investors, family offices managing money of high net worth individuals, right? So they have the tools, they have the research, they have the team to study this type of markets and then get in, early, get in, and have kind of like the winning formula, and they make money. And so a lot of these big institutional pension funds, they are already investing in crypto. And I think the difference from what I was hearing in my job last year to this year is last year everyone was still asking, should we get into this? Is crypto something we should do? Now this year, that's not the question anymore. The question is how.
Yeah.
It's definitely yes, everyone is doing it. So how do we get into it? And so I am here representing maybe all the retail investors, people in the day-to-day life that don't have these resources, and how do we get into this as a one only investor, as a personal user, to also don't miss the opportunity, because that's what honestly I don't like, is that people of the day-to-day, we miss on opportunities because we don't know where to look the information, how to get into it. So my first question to you is, for anyone that doesn't have any background in finance, how could you explain Bitcoin to them?
Sure. So great question. So I think there's a lot of information going around, and we have a lot of sources of information. So let me just try to explain it the way that I've understood it, and I'm sure there's someone out there who has more of a finance background. Maybe they have a PhD or computer scientists that have more to say on this. But let me try to explain it in a way that, the way that I explain it to my family or my friends. So Bitcoin was created by an anonymous group or person called Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't really know who they are. There's some speculation, but we don't know who it is. And the idea around Bitcoin was really to create a monetary system that didn't need a centralized like a central third party. So your bank, if you don't know how much money is in your bank account, trust me, in the bank's terms and conditions, they get to decide. So there's a centralized third party. If I'm sending you money from my Singapore bank to your bank in another country, there's a institution that sits in the middle, which is the SWIFT payment network. So my bank doesn't need to know your bank because my bank knows SWIFT and SWIFT knows your bank. So we live in a world where in finance, there's this issue of trust, right? We don't ever want to just trust whoever else we contact with. So we have this idea of, we build trust from having a trusted third party, right? And, banks do this, right? You borrow money for a home, and if you don't pay your mortgage, they take your home away from you. So this idea of trust. And so Bitcoin was created, it was the first cryptocurrency to really create an ecosystem where you didn't need to have a centralized third party. So the way that we have trust in the Bitcoin ecosystem is that there are all these different people validating transactions. And just the way that the Swift banking payment network would validate that your bank is real, my bank is real, your bank account number is real, my bank account number is real, I have enough money in my bank, all that kind of stuff. We have these people who are verifying transactions, and we call those people miners. So what they're doing is they're all cooperating using these complicated computing algorithms that they need a special computer to use. And that is how we have trust. So we have multiple people validating the same transaction over and over and over again. And some proportion of the time they win a reward. They don't get to control where the reward comes from or when they win the reward. So the idea is any one of those players could be dishonest. So we have multiple people validating the same.
And then if they're dishonest, they're gone.
Well, this is where the idea of a consensus comes from, right? So we call it a consensus algorithm because Bitcoin is designed as a way to. Okay, hello everyone. Hello.
Yeah, I see so many people joining. Got distracted.
We've got a few comments here, so lovely to see you all. It's great to have you here. So just think a little bit about trust and consensus. So that the idea is you've got multiple people. There's no one source of failure. And because you have multiple people effectively verifying the same piece of information, the risk of failure gets exponentially smaller with more and more people. So that at a kind of foundational level, that's how Bitcoin works. The other piece of Bitcoin that's really important to understand is that there's only ever going to be 21 million, right? So in an ecosystem where, or let's talk about traditional currencies. So traditional currencies, US dollar, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, Singapore dollar, governments just print more money to encourage consumption. And what this means when you print more money, for those that have studied economics, is you have what's called inflation. So a loaf of bread costs more today than it did 10 years ago, and it will cost more in 10 years because the government keeps printing money. the creators of Bitcoin decided that they actually wanted a different way to do things. And so the way they decided it, they said, we're only going to have a fixed supply. So this is something that in theory will increase in value over time. It is becoming more scarce. There will be a point in the future where we don't have any new Bitcoin ever being created ever again. That's quite a long way into the future. So at a very foundational level, that's how Bitcoin was created. Now, whether you like what I've said or hate what I've said, or you don't believe in cryptocurrency, about 20% of people, about 20% of the Bitcoins out there are being held on to in the long term. So that's evidence that people are, and by the way, if there's anyone interested in learning the statistics on this, you can Google HODL waves, HODL waves, 2 words. So Bitcoin is scarce. Some people believe that it is a good thing to hold, that the value will go up over time. The value has been going up over time. If you zoom out and look at a 3-year time horizon or longer, the line has just gone up. Of course, in the 1 year, in the 2 year, in the 18 months, it goes down, but over time, it's just gone up.
Okay, so taking a step back, to sum up,
sure.
It could be, what could we say? Okay, less fees, more secure, and less inflation. Is that, it's like, correct me.
Yeah, sure.
Or no inflation. No.
The inflation decreases over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and Bitcoin is believed to be a store of value. There are some other currencies like Ethereum, and they've found they're like an ecosystem. So you need, in order to use that ecosystem, if you're an app developer, you need to use some of the token. And then there's thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies that do nothing and shouldn't be paid attention to. But that's the kind of, I'm simplifying, but that's the long and the short of it.
My next question, by the way, if people have questions maybe in the room, we can also maybe read them, but I've got many, but just in case. But my next question would be about the pricing. You mentioned already something about being scarce, so obviously that drives a little bit of the pricing, but what is really, who determines that it's 55,000 and the pricing over time?
Yeah, so I think there are a number of models, and I'll stick to just talk about Bitcoin. There are a number of models that try to tell us what the price will be in the future based on the scarcity that I mentioned. We know exactly how much Bitcoin there will be at every point in the future because it's actually been, the monetary system of Bitcoin is kind of like can't be changed. So we know at every point. So right now we know how scarce Bitcoin is. We know how many Bitcoins are circulating. And we will know at every point in the future what that will be as well. So there are models that are probably a little bit more complex that I won't go into here that attempt to describe what the future price of Bitcoin will be. But I think prices are a little bit driven by supply and demand. So when Bitcoin is in the news, more people buy Bitcoin. I'm sure some of your viewers and your listeners, and I know we've got lots and lots of folks here who are interested in crypto. People buy it. And when China decides they don't want to have mining in their country anymore, then people sell it. There's always, this is just like the stock market, right? We see this happened last year with Beyond Meat. It happened this year with Moderna. It happened last year with Zoom and many other stocks. And so this is not a different phenomenon to what drives traditional markets. However, with crypto, it's really based on the use case of that specific token. So, yeah.
I got it, but okay, there's so many things.
Sorry.
We'll get into China in a little bit.
I'll try to dial it down.
No. It's great because you're picking my brains into like, okay, China we'll cover later, but before, in the stock market, it is like that. Yeah. Demand, supply and demand, that drives the prices. However, in Bitcoin and in Ethereum, like in crypto in general, it's so volatile. So why, even if it's the same principles as the stock market, why do we go into crypto one day and it's like down so much, and then the next day it could be 3x up? So like, why is it so much more volatile?
Yeah, I think it comes down to adoption, right? And this is one of the statistics that we look at quite closely. Most people don't own crypto. That's not my opinion. It's just, I think in most markets like Singapore and advanced economies in Western Europe and the United States, the percentage of people who own Bitcoin is somewhere between 15 and 25, right? So when you look at stocks, it's well beyond 40 in most cases and higher in some groups. So we haven't really come to a place where people really understand how to put Bitcoin and other cryptos in a portfolio, right? And so we're in a space where the market is trying to figure out where does this fit, and And sometimes we're prone to these short-term situations where there's way more demand than normal and way less demand than normal. And overall, demand is increasing because crypto is, and some cryptocurrencies, as I mentioned, do have a use case. And if a cryptocurrency has a use case, then it deserves to be held in a serious investor's portfolio. But that reality hasn't really caught up yet, right? And it's kind of like real estate trusts in the early 2000s or commodities in the 90s and the late 80s. So we're kind of in a space where people haven't figured out what is this crypto thing, right? Is it super important? Is it a little bit important? How do I fit this in a portfolio? And so what we tend to see, anytime you have something that's early in the life of an asset, and look at the IPO market, Facebook and Snapchat and Beyond Meat, this volatility generally tends to exist when something is new and available for people before we've figured out what something is.
Got it. Yeah, it makes sense. It's like, it's so new and it's so innovative that maybe it's like, how do we price it? And then one day Elon Musk comes out with like some news, so people want it, and then the next day something else happens and people are scared. So it's like that balance.
It's price discovery, right? It's that idea that like, what is the fair market value? Sometimes new stuff comes along and we don't quite know, there's computing became really popular, at least in the personal level, in the 80s and 90s. We didn't really have a price. No one wanted computers, so they were super expensive. And then the prices come down over time. That's more complex. But when something new comes out, it's just we don't know what to do with it, right? So we don't know how to price it.
I mean, super understood. I hope everyone that's listening, also beginners like me, get it, right? So new, so innovative that it's natural almost that it's volatile, right? It's not something that should scare us, I believe.
And hey, you don't have to buy crypto. I'm not telling you need to rush out and do this, but for people who have decided that they do want to take the plunge, what tends to happen for people that get in early is that it tends to be very profitable. You could lose money, but if you hold Bitcoin, for example, for I think 3.5 years, you will always have been ahead of where you were 3.5 years prior. If you hold for 1.5 years, you can be way underwater. You could be down 90%, but if you hold for 3.5 years, then that tends to be kind of a sweet spot. So I think it's important to recognize that this industry is here to stay. The government has talked about this very openly. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. That's what the CFTC has said. So I think we're now in a place where if you do own it, people who owned it a long time ago, and I bought some a little while ago, but people who bought it 5 years before me have way more money than I do because they had the foresight to get in.
Yeah, we see how many like crypto millionaires there are out there.
And there's billionaires too. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we've covered that. Don't want to put you on the spot, but what is happening with China?
Sure. So a few months ago, let me go back. So in long before crypto ever came along, the Chinese government put in place rules to say, we want to control our currency very closely. The way that the Singapore dollar and US dollar interact, it's on a market where we can buy it and sell it just like Bitcoin. The Chinese government has decided they really want to very tightly control the price of their currency, and the reasons that it's not accused. Hello to all of our Chinese government friends. The way that this has been described as working is that the Chinese government wants to keep the renminbi at around 7 per USD. That's kind of the sweet spot. So the monetary policy of China has really relied on controls on currency that we don't have in other countries. And so they want to make it difficult to take money out of the country because they want to control the currency very closely.
But so, crypto, it's like up in the air. It's not associated to any country. Why would they associate investing in crypto?
Well,
taking money outside of
so the concern in China is that there's money laundering and all kinds of issues that they have. But one of the big concerns is that if people are mining Bitcoin, they're spending their domestic currency on buying electricity and then creating an asset that can be just sent overseas instantaneously. You remember I mentioned about crypto and trust. It's what we call decentralized. So I can send you Bitcoin right now. There's no one that can stop that transaction. The bank can't. The government.
Like China cannot control that transaction.
Correct.
About it.
If I go on whether it's on a device or on a on a hot wallet, there's no one that can stop that transfer from happening because it's on the blockchain. There's no centralized. They can't call the bank and say, hey, we want you to stop. So that's at a very high level, that's the background for China. They, in 2013 and in 2017, came out and talked about laws. So this year, in 2021, they said, we really want to have, we don't want to have crypto mining. So they've taken a number of initiatives to try to stop crypto being so popular in China. So they've caused notifications to be on users' phones who are downloading these crypto apps. They've made the mining of cryptocurrency unlawful. So they've said you can no longer mine crypto. And so what that caused is a lot of people who were, I think more than 70% of the world's mining capacity for Bitcoin was in China.
Oh, so that's why I didn't know. I was like, why is this such an impactful change? So because a lot of the miners were in China.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So a lot of miners shut down.
So what's going to happen?
So they've relocated to other countries, Kazakhstan and Mongolia and my home country, Canada, and other places. So that's kind of what's happened.
Oh, okay. And then that happened this year, and that caused the price to go down.
Well, we tend to go in boom and bust cycles. Where the house view here at Alpha Impact is that the bull market is still going. But what happened in kind of the first 4 months of the year was that we actually went up very fast. We went past 20K. We went to $64,000 in a span of 4 months, right? And I think it's about to happen again. And Stephen, I can see your question. We'll get to you in just a moment. So he's asking about advertising the platform. So great question, by the way. We'll get to you very soon. So the purpose for us to be obviously talking about volatility and prices is, kind of what to do next. Mm-hmm. And I think all of us should have. Sorry, I got distracted, Stephen, by your question. So yeah, I think we need to come to a holistic way of looking at crypto ownership. And so the mining shutdown in China meant that mining went elsewhere. We kind of went up too fast. And whenever you go up in a green line straight up, even in a bull market that's going to continue to go up, we generally see it doesn't go up in a straight line, right? So we go up too much and then we come down, and then we go up more and then we go down. So it's not a straight line up. So that was kind of a straight line up, to be honest.
It's again, like you were saying, just think long term, mm-hmm. Even if it's going up so much right now, doesn't mean that, it's going to be like that forever. Yeah. But if you have a step back, wait some more time, it's going to go back up. So we've spoken about the volatility in prices. Mm-hmm. Also, so many political things are involved with crypto, and mm-hmm. we just spoke about China, but there's 100 more other type of things that are always pushing, the prices and crazy things about crypto. So what would be your advice for someone that is starting, a beginner, and what would you tell them so that they don't get shocked when they see these changes, and maybe someone's putting some of their savings there and they see all their money gone, like almost all of it, in the span of a day? What would you say to them as an advice to not get so shocked when they see that volatile in their portfolios? Yeah, so trading crypto is a journey. And whether you're trading actively and you want to try to time the market, or whether you want to just buy and hold for a long time, it's very volatile. So you need to start small, right? If you're a first-time investor, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're a university student with $100 in the bank, or if you have $100 in the bank, you shouldn't invest in crypto. But if you have 100 in savings or 100 million in savings, you need to start small until you're comfortable with that volatility. Once you're comfortable with it, you can start to form a view. But I guarantee that looking at crypto from the outside is different to actually owning the assets. So you have to just start small. You have to be in a place where you can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to put a little bit in. I'm not going to put all my money in. And if this goes down 90% and I need to wait 3 years for it to go back up, as it has 100% of the times in the past that it's gone down that much, then I need to just be okay with that. So you have to start small. It comes mm-hmm. to that. So I love that you said, okay, start small. Again, this is for beginners. So let's say an example of an initial investors, right? Mm-hmm. So after you pay your rent, after you pay all your costs, you should have a savings account, right? Like, I don't know, a couple of months of your living expenses to save. And then after all of that, let's say I still have $100 left. Sure. What, a quick portfolio construction could you advise someone
Sure.
that has $100 after paying? And again, I'm saying this for anyone out there that's like new to investments. This is after you have a savings fund, 6 months of savings account, after you've paid everything.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two ways to think about it, and let me just start by saying, firstly, I have a law degree, so I need to be very clear to say that we're not, Alpha Impact is not a licensed investment advisor in any jurisdiction. The information we're going to provide to you today is informational and for educational purposes. This is not investment advice. Please do your own research and speak to a qualified professional in the country where you live before investing in cryptos, because they're super volatile and you can lose potentially even more than you initially invested in if you use margin and stuff like that. So disclaimer out of the way, I'll answer the question. There's two ways to think about investing in crypto. And we deal with institutions on a day-to-day basis as well, and you're probably dealing with some of the same ones. And the name of the game for family offices is generally wealth preservation, right? They've already got some money and they just don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So wealth preservation you accomplish by diversifying. And so if that's your goal, if you're the family office and you have $100 million, you'd probably want to put a few percentage points, 1%, 2%, that kind of stuff into these assets. If you're a student and you have savings and you live at home with mom and dad and you only have $100, the way to accumulate wealth is generally to find something that you really believe in and concentrate your risk. And so you might want to put, $100 is not a lot of money. You can probably make 100 again. You want to put a lot of it in there to take a lot of risk to really give yourself the upside. But that upside is not possible to get without the possibility of downside. So everyone needs to make their own decision about what's right for them. But there's two ways to think about it, right? There's preserving, which is you put a very small amount, 1 or 2%, and then there's accumulating wealth, which is you should put a lot of it in there.
I guess it's tricky, right? Because what's a lot of money for me might not be a lot for you, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just putting myself in the shoes of maybe, a really young person putting their $100 savings and then really at the next day losing it all, that then they're back to zero.
Well, I think that you only lose money investing in crypto that if you sell it, right? Unless the price truly goes to zero and it gets delisted from the exchange, which on Uniswap is pretty hard because it's a decentralized exchange. I think it's hard to sell and lose money. You don't lose money unless you press sell, right? So if you're buying something, maybe you just need to wait. But of course, when you're emotional and you think it's going to go to zero, it can be very tough. So
for people that, if you have 100, then it's back to, I don't know, down to 50, let's say.
Yeah.
Just you would recommend to hold it a little bit more.
Well, 3.5 years, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, that sucks. I bought Bitcoin last cycle, 2017. I had to hold for so long. I had to hold for 21 months to get a return on some assets that I purchased in 2017.
So that's your second way, which I was going to say first. Your first, let's say the first instance would be to okay, let me risk it all. Let me see if I can make some money out of crypto and go in risky and put a lot of money in. The second way, I think, is what I did, a little bit more conservative. And I can speak from experience, we go to a wealth management company and you put your savings there for them to make a portfolio. They're not investing in this digital assets. Normally a family office, the wealth managers, they are investing in equities, not even equities in emerging markets. They just do the plain old, very safe investments, just because, like you said, they want to preserve the wealth. So what I did was, after I put my money in that savings, I invested. I put something around what I was feeling comfortable of losing, and this was maybe 5 years ago, where I said, and I remember this is just a small anecdote. I was at work and I was in sales, and the whole sales team, they were talking about Bitcoin, and we got our commissions, and they this guy next to me was out of pure pressure. He's like, you haven't invested in Bitcoin, what are you, you need to invest and just put this commission check in. And I said, you know what, I'm going to treat it as the same as going to a casino, let's say, and if I lose the money, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I put it, and, best decision ever. I never looked I never opened again the account. I think the best way to do it is like that. I mean, with my risk profile, because I'm very conservative, and just to look at it every, few years and see what you want to do.
Yeah.
But to each their own, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's very tough, and it sounds like at that point in time, if you're having extra income, it's different to someone who has $100. And I think people need to make the decision that's best for themselves ultimately, because if you really have $100, you might need the $100 for some unforeseen emergency. So
yeah, we're just using that as like the number. Okay, so let's say we have that extra, should we call it $100, $1,000, whatever. How do people get in? What's the first step? Where do they go? Like when we did the podcast, one of the main questions was, okay, I want to buy crypto. I hear it all the time, everywhere. But like, where do I go? Sometimes they imagine there's this stock exchange type of market, it's really hard to access. So like, is it as easy as just going to a website and putting your bank account?
I think there's a couple different ways to do it. First and foremost, you should always talk to a few people. Don't just make your own decision yourself. You should always and there's lots of people out there who are trying to sell you stuff, right? And they're trying to make a commission, and it's always, it's always good to be skeptical. But I think that a crypto exchange is a great place to start. They generally accept credit card. In some cases, they accept bank transfers. So Binance is one of the most liquid crypto exchanges. FTX is another exchange that I use all the time. Gemini is good, but very limited choice of assets. The safest crypto exchanges are the ones that have the smallest list of things you can buy, right?
Like Coinbase.
Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, a little better. Those are probably the safest, but the list of possible tokens is shorter, right? And
they have like 5 coins or what?
Well, it's not quite that low. I think Gemini has, 50 or something like that. So there's still a good selection there. If you're aiming to avoid as much risk as you can, you'd want to start on one of those US exchanges. If you want to take a lot of risk, then I think some of the other exchanges are really great. Binance, FTX, I think Binance is the one that has the most liquidity. There's the most people there. There's the most buyers and sellers. It's just there's a lot of tokens there. FTX as well is run by our friends in Hong Kong. So those are two.
What about BlockFi?
BlockFi is not an exchange. So I don't use their platform. I don't think they sell crypto.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like a lending platform. So if you already have crypto.
I've just been hearing a lot about them. So
yeah. So for people who are in the audience, Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, Binance is a great exchange as well, and FTX. Those are all great choices.
And so, is there any minimum investing for someone that wants to get? So I can just buy $1 of Bitcoin.
Well, the exchanges tend to have very high fees for super small transactions. So I would suggest doing like at least $50 or $100. But you can do a $1 order. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no minimum. And I just want to say as well, a lot of people think that they can't afford to buy Bitcoin because Bitcoin is $40-something thousand. You can buy 0.00001 of a Bitcoin, right? That's
because like the majority of people have
exactly.
fractions.
Yeah. So I think if you don't have to buy a whole one. That's something I wanted to make clear as well.
Yeah. So I go put my money in. Like, what's the next tab? Is it like complicated to create an account?
So we actually have. You can check out our website later if you're curious. But we actually always suggest people to set up their own account. I think it's not that hard to do. There's a few steps. Most exchanges actually require you to do what's called KYC. So they need to see that for compliance reasons, they need to know your identity, your real identity. So they need more than just your name and email address. It's just like a bank, right? The level of regulations are very high.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to see your passport, a proof of, or ID, proof of address, and they need to just check that you're not on the terrorist watch list, that you're not Kim Jong-un, any one of those things that would get them in a lot of trouble, make them lose a license. They need to do that kind of compliance piece.
Great. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think on my end, we've covered this first half of the webinar about, the trust and maybe getting rid of some fears that many people might have just when they speak or think about Bitcoin, and I think some people are still saying like, oh, don't get into that. But I think this first segment has been great to just clear those thoughts out, and then also to just hear how to get started. It's really the fear of maybe being complicated should not be there. It's super easy. It takes a couple of minutes to create an account. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, because after I heard so many people giving me feedback after our episode, I think we didn't even cover that, how to get started. And I think that's one of the roadblocks that people find, is just like, they think it's really complicated. So it's not. Now, once you are, let's say, already a person that has been investing, me personally, I don't do much with my account. It's pretty much like useless. But for people that do want to keep in touch in the what's going on in the industry, and at the same time you're not working in finance, so you don't want to like wake up and read every day Bloomberg and then what's going on with Bitcoin, so many things. What is like the easiest way for you to advise people to, this is somewhere you could go to see what's happening with the market?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Bloomberg tends to report things about 12 to 24 hours after they happen in crypto. So
it's too late.
Whenever I see something on Bloomberg, I think it's okay, this is old news. Let me just talk a little bit about Alpha Impact, if I may. So Austin, my co-founder, and I, we kind of started, I've been in crypto for many years, since 2017, and there's a real lack of places that you can get information. So the idea we had was to actually create this Alpha Impact as a social media platform. And so creating this as a social media platform really
so just like Instagram or Facebook?
It's like Twitter. Yeah, it looks and feels a lot like Twitter.
Okay.
The difference is we actually get traders to not only talk about what they're doing, but to actually link their exchange account. So you can see, for example, if I'm talking about Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin is the best thing ever, you should buy Bitcoin, but I've just sold all my Bitcoin, you'll know that I'm kind of full of it, right? And not to trust me. So the idea for us is to link something like Twitter that has all that information with the transparency of having the trader connect their actual real exchange account. So you can see what's happening in real time. And for customers who actually do want to get started and copy a top trader, we offer that functionality as well. So the idea for us is to create a place where it's safe and easy to learn, where it's transparent, so that you know if you're following someone that's talking about some crypto, you know that they're actually doing what they say they're doing, and eating their own dog food, as we say. And we actually allow customers to copy those people as well. Yeah. So you can copy that trader. You can copy me, Paula. I can copy you. You can copy me, and every trade that I do will actually be reflected on your account as well. So we connect to your exchange account, but we don't ever touch your funds. So we just get a very limited permission to execute transactions, but it's from your account. So we never touch your funds.
Okay, so let's break it down. I think it was a lot of information. The first part, because I really want to get into like how it does invest, sure. Touching our accounts, etc. But first of all, the smartest idea ever for people like me that I don't know anything about this market. Why don't I just follow someone that is working on this 24/7? So thanks for doing that for people like us. And because you meet people and they say, I've gained so much money with Bitcoin, blah, 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 but you never get, no one ever asks anyone, show me your account, open your bank account to see, you would never do that, not even with a friend. So I get with your platform, it's kind of the way to see if people are actually making money and it's real, right?
Yeah.
It's a way for me to see your statement almost of like, are you actually really successful in this or not? And if you're putting your own money, then I just copy paste from what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's not quite a copy paste, but it's a copy for sure. And you can actually see my performance against Bitcoin, right? You can see there's a chart, so you can see. And I'd love to, and I'm really excited to have maybe a demo of some of this functionality soon. But the whole idea for us is that you can see how I'm doing, you can see how someone else is doing. There's a whole leaderboard. You can find, maybe I'm not the best one, right? Maybe you want to find an NFT trader. Maybe you want to find not the highest returning trader, but like a very consistent trader who makes the same amount every month. They don't make a lot, but they also don't lose either. So the whole idea for us is to let you find an investor to copy or to learn from, who kind of matches your trading style.
So on the platform, are there different profiles of like, I am a crypto expert, investor, broker, whatever, or and then I am a follower, because in Twitter, I'm just comparing.
Yeah.
If I create an account, someone can also follow me,
yeah.
right? Which wouldn't advise to anyone. So, but I am
Twitter
copying.
Is great, full of very insightful.
So if I'm following someone and someone's following me, you know how that works. But in your platform, would that work like that? Or let's say if I am copying someone, then people won't be able to follow me.
Yeah, so one of the things that's really important for us, Paula, is choice. So you can have an anonymous profile, you can post nothing, you can share no details about anything. And you can just follow a top trader and you will have a profile that people can see, but you don't have to post anything. Your portfolio will not be visible. You can put it on private mode, so no one can see anything.
Got it. But if I don't do that, then people could eventually follow me.
Well, the idea for us, and we did this token sale a few months ago, backed by some of the biggest investors in crypto, and what we found is that there's all these people out there who are top traders who don't have a following, right? There's, I think, even people watching now, university students living at home, they've created and this is the great thing about crypto because we're so early, right? We haven't got to a point where crypto is a super popular thing. So we're now in a world where we see hundreds and hundreds of people, and we're talking to some of these people that they are top traders, but no one knows. And this is an ability. So the idea for us is to let anyone become a top trader. And maybe after a while, you decide you actually want to give this a try and want to try to earn some money from being a top trader. We give you the ability to do that.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Because like maybe at the beginning I just go in and I start looking at which traders I want to see and follow, and then I start following and kind of like do my own thing later on. So yeah, building people, empowering them to also learn from it.
Well, and empowerment is really important for us because there is a lack of information about crypto. Most places, if you mentioned a wealth management firm, most wealth management firms, most banks still don't touch the stuff, right? So your normal places of going for trusted and then safe investments are not really going to help you in all situations in crypto. So that's kind of that was the idea for us.
Great. I just read a comment from Max. Philly and Paula, thank you. I'm not the only one. Just wanted to get the audience a little bit engaged. Let's see if there's any other comments.
What we'll do here, we'll pause for a moment, the chat. We're going to go to the audience. So we're going to be doing Q&A for a few minutes. So get your questions in.
Yeah.
We will probably go to about 10 to 7, or we might go until 7 all the way. So let's scroll up. I want to see if there's any questions here. Okay. So we're very far from the camera, so I'm sorry for having to strain my eyes here. Would love to hear about how you're getting ready to advertise impact and make people aware of the platform. That's a really great question. Let's go back down. So I'll take that question, and then if you have any more, you can ask me.
Yeah, I do have.
Okay.
I want to say, let's take questions from the audience and then finish up like an example. That was my last question, to be like, an example of me following you on the platform. How does that work? So let's go ahead.
So the question we had was from Stephen. How are we going to be advertising this platform to let the world know it exists? We really think about that being in a few phases. Number one, we're focused really hardcore on the traders at this stage. So phase one is really just us having a trading competition. So we have 4 different tiers of trading competitions. You'll probably think this is funny. We have the plankton trading competition, the shrimp, the lobster, and the whale.
Oh, got it.
We have to have seafood names in crypto. That's just the rules.
Why seafood?
I don't know. It's all food related, right? Sushi, swap, all that stuff.
For all the foodies in Singapore.
For all the foodies and across the world. So we have a number of trading competitions that we're running. We're actually going to be making an announcement. I don't want to say the exact date, but we've got let's just say we have some exciting announcements in the next week. I think I'm allowed to say that. Where we're going to be talking about these trading competitions more in depth. The trader is really the personality that we're targeting first, and so we have a prize pool. It's going to be in USD. It's not in our token. I think we're saying it's between $15,000 to $100,000 that we're incentivizing these top traders. So little traders get a little prize, big traders get a big prize. So that's the idea for us in terms of targeting the traders. After that, then we launch it for followers. We have a great set of traders that have agreed to come on and actually host. I think I might be stealing the thunder from our marketing team, but I'll just give a snapshot of what's to come here because there was a question. So we're actually going to be we're launching a premium version of the website where customers can get access to all the trading data, real-time charts, they can get access to follow their top traders, see the portfolio, what's actually in. I know you're always asking me on WhatsApp, like, what do I think of this and what's in my portfolio? So you'll get to see what's in the trader's portfolio as well as master classes. So we'll be having an academy where we're teaching people how to trade, how to do technical analysis, how to think about specific cryptos. For people who are interested in NFTs, there's going to be a lesson on how do you actually find these projects to invest in, right? Yeah. Which NFTs should I buy? So the idea for us is to really educate the community, and that's going to be something that's going to use our token. So customers will not be able to pay USD, not be able to pay Sing dollars. They'll have to use the token to buy access to this premium service. So step one, and Stephen, I'll just kind of summarize, is focus on the traders. We have the trading competitions. Step two, and we have some great influencers that we're excited to be working with. We're going to be having one, I think, next week on the channel. And then we focus on the actual top trading. So we're launching the Academy, the premium version. We're launching copy trading not long after that and giving everyone the ability to follow a top trader. And we have some really exciting products that we're launching after that. So that's kind of the strategy. We think that there's a lot we can do to educate. Just like right now, Paula, we're kind of talking and I'm helping you understand and helping the viewers. We intend to be very, very accessible, helping people, not only hosting webinars, but also making educational content available. So that's super important. Of course, ads, crypto, Twitter, influencers, those are all very, very important sources for us.
I love that. And I think, I always joke that I have the opportunity to be able to text you on WhatsApp, like, what do I do? Everyone's talking about Bitcoin. What do I do? Tell me, etc. But obviously you cannot reach out to everyone like that. So I think your platform would eventually be just great for everyone to, instead of you receiving a text from me every now and then, I just can go and see your profile and see what you're doing and decide if I want to copy or not.
You're not the worst. I do have people that message me very late at night asking in other time zones, and people asking me about crypto. So we're in the same time zone, so it's totally fine. You can always message.
I think there was a follow-up question.
Reddit, YouTube, Facebook. So we're already on Facebook. We're already on YouTube. Reddit, yes, we will be building a Reddit community as well.
It's not a question, but I always love to look at the comments. There's a person said, love the Fireside chat. Cozy, yes. It was hard to put together a fireplace in an office in the middle of the CBD.
We had to get lots of permits. We really worked our government relationships on this one.
What else?
Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. If not, you can just ask me the last question, or will I?
Yeah, just also being conscious of time, so we've had the last 10 minutes. It was like kind of just to get a better picture of the platform. Let's say it's on, I create my account and I want to follow you. Yeah. So I click follow, and maybe I get some kind of notifications of what you're doing and I read around. But can you elaborate a little bit more on, is there a way for, like, let's say I'm the extreme that I really don't want to do anything in my account, but I trust you, like I admire your trading performances, whatever. Yeah. How do I kind of enable you to do whatever you're doing in your own portfolio to like reflect in my portfolio? Sure.
So that'd be automatic copy trading. And that's something, it's not the first thing we're launching. We're launching these competitions and a few other things beforehand. But it's coming soon. And the idea for us is that we want to give you the choice to say, I just want to follow a trader and not do anything. So you'll be able to say, I want to follow Hayden with, 50% of my porportfolio, 100% of my portfolio, 75%. So maybe, and I got to give a shout out to my other co-founder, Austin, who's a great trader. I take all the risk and he's all about making calculated risk decisions. So we'll see in the long run who's better. But so I think, I think he's slightly ahead. We have a little competition between the two of us. Anyway, so you could actually say, okay, I want to follow Hayden with 50% and follow Austin with 50%. And then the system will automatically do it for you. So every trade that Austin makes, every trade that I make, it's always proportional to your portfolio. So if I have $500 and you have $100, if I do a trade for 10% of my portfolio, that's going to be 10% of your portfolio.
10% of the 50% that I gave you.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the next step. The first step would be then I follow you, right? I'm following you, and I can go to your app and see exactly what you're doing. And I see, oh, Hayden invested again in Ethereum. Yep. Then I go to my exchange trade to go and trade my portfolio, or can I do that through Alpha?
No, we don't let you just get that information just
And
for the
leave?
heck of it. So we'll be putting
This is how naive I am.
That's okay. So one of the things we're doing to help people like you who are maybe interested, but they want to get some experience first, we'll be launching manual copy trading first. And so that will actually give you a notification that says, hey, Hayden has just done this trade. Do you want to follow, yes or no? Over time, we'll make that, you'll have to do automatic. But in the short run, absolutely, manual copy trading is going to be here.
Got it.
Yeah.
When is this launching?
So we're going to be launching copy trading, and we've always said Q3. So it'll be, I guess, like within, before the end of September. It could be slightly, maybe 1 week after that or something like that. But it's coming very soon, and we're actually really excited to be launching this trading competition. So we're now in beta. We have real live traders on our platform. We're seeing what's happening. They're giving us really awesome feedback. They're posting tons of amazing, insightful charts and content. And so I want, it's not just about trading because like, you know me, and so you trust me, and we've known each other for many years. So if I told you, hey, Paula, I just did this trade, I feel very strongly about that, you'd think, okay, maybe since you know me, there's a level of trust, so you'd do it too. But what we recognize is that people actually won't know each other on the platform initially. So we don't actually require anyone to do any trading. You can just come on and learn what the trader's doing. Not only what is the trade, but we want to give traders, we're actually paying, we're sharing the fees with the trader. So if the trader is doing really well, if the trader has a really big following, if they're posting a lot of content, we want to incentivize the trader to share the why. Not only what they're doing, but why they're doing it.
Got it.
And that means that we pay the trader more if they share what they're doing and have a very engaging social media profile.
Such a logistical background there, and just wondering out of curiosity, what has been the biggest challenge right now in the beta phase trying to get this launched?
Yeah, well, I think, a lot of people think we just started. We've been building this thing since last year. First code was a super long time ago. So it's been more than 6 months that we've been at this. I would say that the challenge, at least for me, has been, I've never built software before, and this is super complicated. And I'll just give you an example. What actually happens when the trading occurs is that you give us permission to trade from your crypto exchange account.
Yeah.
So there's what's called an API connection.
So I could give you my password and everything to
you don't give us your password because we can never log in. But what it is you're giving us kind of the ability to execute trades.
Okay.
So we can't touch your money. You never send your money to us for your investment capital, but you're giving us limited permission to execute trades from your account. So that requires a connection between you and us and the exchange. And there's all these situations. For example, what if the exchange goes down? In highly, highly volatile times, even big exchanges like Kraken have gone down, and that's within the past year. So we have to plan for what happens if I make a trade, you're trying to copy me, and then the exchange goes down, right? My trade might get filled, you might not get filled, and when the exchange comes back up, the price might have moved up or down. So there's a lot of complexity. And I kind of had this vision that developer, you just tell the developer what needs to be done, but it's super complicated. And I want to give a quick shout out to Austin, my co-founder, as well as Chawan and our entire tech team. I'm sure some of them are watching. So it's been a real honor to work with such skilled developers.
That's so great. And no, it looks so exciting. It looks, amazing. And I think the last question here was about your timeline, which I hope Mark is that we did cover that, anytime in September, we'll have, the first view of the platform. I guess this is great. I think we're over now finishing up. I don't know if there's any questions from the audience.
Any last questions? We can have an open mic session.
Self-promotion time if you guys want to hear a little bit more.
And let me just share the link so that people can sign up. Impact.fi. Okay, so for people who want to join us and sign up, you can check out our website. That is alphaimpact.fi.
And then a similar conversation like today, we had it over on the podcast.
A day with podcasts
Yeah.
The most popular guest ever was me, so you should check out this amazing podcast.
No, but really, there's a lot more that we covered there. It was also a few jokes about other shitcoins, Elon Musk, that, you know, we could cover, you know, on that platform. So yeah, if you want to hear a little bit more and just maybe repeat this, I don't know if this is going to be live, or
it's out there.
No, I know, but can people come and join in later to watch this?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
But anyways, once you know,
I'll do a plug. Day with podcast.
Yeah, it's on.
And you're on Spotify, right?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's I think Hayden's episode is episode 7. So it's on digital assets, and Hayden goes through, you know, many of other challenges that, you know, this industry has faced.
So I'm going to share the link. Here it is.
Hayden Hughes.
But where's I want the Spotify.
On Spotify, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
I can send it to your WhatsApp if you want.
My WhatsApp isn't connected. Okay, hold on. Okay. Sorry, guys. We're
just if you put this on.
I'll share it. We have an article.
Okay.
I'll just share that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, here we go. Okay, shameless self-promotion.
No, but not only promote. I think you have to enter. But
I did. It just takes time.
But I think it's just a great way to maybe some of the topics we did cover them like today, but there were some others.
Keep in mind, 2 months in crypto is like 3 years in the normal world. So a lot's changed since then. So I was actually thinking I should probably come and be on your podcast again to talk about more recent developments, because you know, I went on yours, you came on here. There was no fireplace when I came on yours. So
yeah.
You gotta say, you know. So maybe I should come again and talk about that.
I do believe that our next topic should be NFTs. The owner of the, I think, most expensive NFT is in Singapore. So if anyone in the audience knows him in Singapore, we can have a talk with him, and you could, you know, host him in my podcast, because I have no idea about NFTs.
Sure.
But it's something that everyone's talking about, and I know you guys are doing something in that space too. So I'd love to do, a next episode on what's an NFT and how people can just like value that, because I guess right now people don't even know, but I guess that would be for our next conversation.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for today. It was great. I feel very cozy.
Very relaxing. Nice, nice warm fire.
Yeah. Thank you. It was great, and hope everyone enjoyed. Hopefully cover all of the questions. There were so many comments, but
that was just us posting all the links.
Okay.
So check out A Day with Podcast with Paula. That's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcast. This episode, as you probably can tell by all the logos and everything around us, is sponsored by us, Alpha Impact. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will be with you next week. I think our next episode, Paula, you should watch. We're going to be talking to an NFT investment professional who's also a popular influencer on YouTube. Very smart guy. That's happening next week, same time, 6 p.m. Singapore time, 10 a.m. UTC. So tune in next week. We're going to go back and be on Paula's podcast next time talking about NFTs, and we'll go from there. And we just have one. Paula, Max wants to copy your trades. Go trading with Alpha Impact. Yes. Thank you very much. And it looks like the comments are just, that's from us. So fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next time, next Thursday. Check out A Day with Podcast. Cheers. Have a great evening. Thanks, everybody.